All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world. My name is Richard Mellick. I'm going to be your host for today's Behind the Build webinar. We got a couple of housekeeping things we're going to go over real quick. First of all, this webinar is being recorded. So if for some really unfortunate or sad reason you must leave us early, or you want to catch back up on what we are talking about, all the goodness that we're sharing, all the updates that we have, you want to come back and look a little further into it. Don't worry, you're going to get a recording of this following this webinar. It will also be on YouTube and LinkedIn, ungated. We are not going to be gating our material. We are here to share all the goodness with the whole world. There is a chat window and a Q&A box as well. So if I say something or Steve says something, or you just have some questions about life, go ahead and use those chat windows to communicate with us. I am monitoring them. If it is timely for us to answer it at that point in the conversation, I will pause Steve. I'll interrupt him at an appropriate time, and we'll ask it. Otherwise, there's a Q&A section at the end where we'll take any questions that you might have about what we talked about Synqly, about the future of the company, whatever you might want to ask. And as I said, you'll be receiving an email following this, the webinar. And it's going to have a link to the recording as well. Thank you. If there's anything that we talk about, like a report or a cool website, something, a link, I'll make sure that that is included in the follow-up as well. So you don't have to worry about watching the chat or forgetting to post up the link. We'll get it over to you if it is necessary. As I said, my name is Richard Mellick. I'm the head of marketing here at Synqly. I'm going to be the host of today's webinar, but the life of the party is definitely my co-host, Steve Erickson. Steve is the co-founder. Steve, please introduce yourself to the wonderful people.
Yeah, Steve Erickson, co-founder here at Synqly. Happy that all you folks can join us today. We have a bunch of good features to talk about. Stuff we've been working on for the past couple months, and just get you up to speed and excited about it.
Yeah, Chief Product Officer. He's basically the brains behind everything that we do here. Let's be honest. He's cracking the whip and building it forward. So first of all, for those of you that might be a little bit newer to Synqly, I'm going to introduce you to Synqly, who we are and what we do, as well as some updates that you might have seen on our website if you've been to our website lately. First of all, we have defined our mission, and our mission is to build the indefensible infrastructure that connects cybersecurity, IT, and AI. You will hear a lot about the connections, the integrations that we have made throughout our presentation today, as well as if you go to our website, you're going to see that content everywhere, talking about connections, talking about integrations between the categories cybersecurity, IT, and AI. The AI component is definitely one of those juicy topics, as we all know. It is everywhere for us, and the agents are everywhere. But how are we bringing them together? Well, that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. I think it's one of our last slides that we'll be diving into that. Connected is a word that is really, really important to us because it is defined as LinkedIn purpose, systems, tools, and workflows aligned towards a common goal. And when you're thinking about cybersecurity and IT infrastructure, be it on the enterprise side or be it on the OEM delivery side, those integrations are critical. There's a lot of really good reports out there that talk about why integrations are necessary, not just for the workflow of the individuals that are managing the security and IT teams, but as well as for organizations to get their products to full use by their customers. Integrations enable your product to be fully adopted because it can get the data from where it is to where it needs to be without someone having to go in and log into a console. We do spend a lot of time and energy developing out those consoles, but as we all know, security and IT and AI are about the data. Getting the data, understanding the data, assessing the data, and getting it to where we need it to be. So connected as a term is a word that we lean on heavily. And with that, we have some new branding, updating messaging, and branding that has come out. Specifically, our tagline, the connected platform for security, IT, and AI. Now, the connected platform positions Synqly as the trusted infrastructure that powers the connections between security, IT, and AI. And there's a little bit of visual elements in some of you that have been to a metro or an underground or a subway, you might see within the color structure that it is to evoke a feeling of the subway. It is a critical but hidden infrastructure that connects destinations. We are not saying that we are the subway, but it is something that I lean towards when it comes to that visual story that we're telling. So you'll hear Steve and myself talk about connections and integrations interchangeably. They are the same thing to us. We are connecting ecosystems, we are connecting products, we are connecting data and destinations. But that's where we're at with that. If this is your first run-in with Synqly, this is our overall architecture. At the very bottom, we have our integration partners, companies from Qualys over to SentinelOne, Splunk. I think we're over 90 integration partners right now. I can't remember the exact number. Coming up on 100 quick. I can't even break down the number of products inside of each company that we're in there. But we have built those integrations into those organizations. We're building them, we're maintaining them. And from there, we've established those connections between them and the Synqly platform, which gives you, the customer, the access to our unified API. Bi-directional connectivity, you have access to our Synqly MCP. We are normalizing the schema down to OCSF OCSF standards. Say that 5 times fast. And it's through a single query language. The configuration management happens within that console as well. And the credential management is happening there as well. You're not needing to log into that once the integration is established, unless you're going in to maintain, check the health, or build a new connection. But that unified API is the core of our product. You connect once and you have access to that full category. So you see the categories at the top: asset, AppSec, cloud, EDR, and so on. You build that integration into that one category. You have access to all the connections that are inside that category. And as more connections are added to that category, you don't have to do any further work. You can go into the Synqly, the Synqly management console, select that you want to add that product into your ecosystem, follow the quick steps, put in your credentials, and you are set to go. Am I missing anything on that one, Steve?
Nope, you did a great job.
See, I'm getting better at it. We have a lot of logos. As a matter of fact, we are maintaining the largest ecosystem of integrations into IT and security in the industry, comparing that to any of the unified APIs and integration platforms as services that are out there. And we are adding more to that. Now, this is all the marketing fluff and marketing mumbo jumbo. A lot of you I know already know this. So you're here to see what's coming. So let's get back into that. We're going to skip that slide. And I'm going to pass it over to Steve to start talking about the amazing work that his team has been doing.
Thanks, Richard. Yeah, so what I'll go through today is essentially the major features that we've added since the last time we did one of these, maybe a quarter ago. We're not going to cover every single change that we did. We'd be here too long. It's just sort of to highlight the major features we added, the things that are of note that we feel like it makes sense to communicate to a wider audience. As always, you could go to our doc site and go to the changelog and see the great details week to week, of what's been delivered. Starting us off at sort of the core platform. I mean, if you think about Synqly, we're an iPaaS platform, and we have connectivity to a bunch of different vendors. But then there's features that we roll out that are core to the platform, separate from the integrations, and that's what I'm talking about here. We did completely roll out the adaptive data mapping support, which I'll talk about in the next slide. It was a pretty big milestone for us, but that's fully available with all the connectors, all the integrations. Again, talk about that in a little more detail on that next slide. The other thing we've added, which I think is an incredibly cool feature, is something we call Async Operations. And if you think about Synqly, the model that we've built so far is primarily around synchronous requests into our unified API, and then we proxy that to the vendor software, and then do any data mapping and translations, and then return that response to you. This is a different way to interact with Synqly, right? You can have scheduled operations, which say pull vulnerability data every 24 hours, configure an S3 bucket to dump the results, and that will continue to run. And you could pull the data out of the S3 bucket that you define. It's a very flexible way to be able to query large amounts of data, pushing it all to a sync provider. I think it's an incredibly powerful feature, and we take care of all the retries, the error handling with those requests to those products. So if any interest in that, please let us know. Happy to get you going with the scheduled async operations. A couple other minor ones. We've struggled a bit with our Python SDK and the schema validation, and feel like we've sorted that out now and have a better experience for our customers. We've developed a fairly comprehensive schema validation process, within Synqly before we're pushing out the new Python SDKs. There's I think it'll be a much better experience moving forward for folks who've maybe had a run across a few instances where there was schema validation issues. And then, as always, we're continually trying to make Synqly the easiest integration you'll ever build, and we're work through a bunch of improvements, the quality of life type things in the management interface that we feel like is toward that goal. As I mentioned, adaptive data mapping is fully rolled out, so really excited about this. If you're not aware, adaptive data mapping is essentially, providing the ability for our customers to define, and extend the data mapping that we use in our product. So we have a bunch of built-in data mapping. So if you think about Synqly as that unified API, we do bidirectional data transformation into and from a single schema. But customers have, the need to many times customize those things. So they want the data mapping to really be, like this value should really be associated with this value in this integration. Or you may want to completely replace all of our data mappings, or you may want to define data mappings so that you can map from your internal schema to OCSF, and we'll do that for you with the adaptive data mapping feature. So incredibly powerful. Lots of new capabilities that will roll out around data mapping. It's sort of a core building block for us moving forward. Look forward to extensions to our MCP to allow you to be able to generate some of those mappings automatically, so you don't have to build them. But lots of interesting stuff going on here, and it's worth calling out now.
I think you're underplaying data mapping in terms of like its capability and its technological advantage that it is delivering to our customers. It is at the highest level, a translation layer down to, from any schema down to OCSF and out to any schema that is necessary, is like, I think, the rawest way to describe it. And that is incredible. I don't know if we have data around that timing, but it is incredible to see how some of our customers have pushed this capability even beyond what we imagined when we first came up with it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the data mapping piece is really a core value of Synqly, and it's not something that is easily copied or replaced. We have on top of the very deep sort of built-in data mapping we have, this sort of provides sort of the ultimate flexibility for inextensibility in the product that our customers really are asking for. As always, we're taking feedback from our customers to add, new products to our ecosystem. Part of how we operate is, we listen to customers, and things that our customers need it to be, included in the product. We take that and we prioritize those things and get them out to customers. So this is the most recent the most recent set of new providers in the last couple months. A lot of focus on cloud security and AppSec. There's been a huge interest in both those categories for us. So we're in the process of aggressively building out in both those categories, which we'll talk a little bit as we go through this presentation. Another thing that we're continuously building out is the mock providers. This has been pretty valuable for our customers. I want to be able to go even faster in building out new mock providers because it just provides an incredible value to our customers, not to have to deal with finding and setting up test environments for the various products. It gets you going through the build out of the integrations, without having to sort that out, and so sort of reduces friction for being able to get to a functionally complete integration with Synqly. So look, if there's any that you ever need as a customer, just let us know and we'll try to prioritize those. There's a lot of those mock providers to build, and they're not built using just like fake data. I mean, this is data that's representative of the data that you actually get out of each of these vendors. So it's a pretty powerful feature, and we're going to continue to build this out. Cloud security is probably one of the biggest things we're focused on right now as far as connectors and integrations. There's been a lot of focus on building out an initial set of capabilities this past quarter. We also added two of the sort of heavy hitters in the space, AWS Security Hub and Palo Alto. Lots of interest in AWS right now. We've built the integration into the AWS CSPM function, as well as GuardDuty and Macie findings. We're also very close to getting out misconfiguration support for AWS through AWS config service. So lots of interest in AWS, and we're pushing to get a complete set of capabilities there in the near term. And always looking to add new providers. We're working on integrating with Wiz and other cloud security providers, as well as getting all the capabilities that we're building supported for all the different vendors that we currently have. So excited about this one. I feel like there's a lot of traction from our customers on this, and we're building this out as fast as we can. AppSec is another one that sort of came out of nowhere from our customers. It was always on our radar, but all of a sudden there was just a tremendous interest. We're able to turn around pretty quickly a new connector for AppSec, and then we expanded it this past quarter to include AWS Inspector and GitLab. Continuing to build this out, we're working on Sneak and GitHub and JFrog and some of the on-prem versions of these products, and so look for us to continue to build those out. If there's any AppSec products that you're interested in, please let Synqly know, and we'll add it to our list. Again, there's been SIEM is and integrations with these products have been one of the foundational capabilities of this platform, and we're continuing to build out those capabilities. We've been working through all the SIEM providers to have a clean way to query alerts out of each of those, and we're getting to the end of that journey with Google. It should be Google SecOps. My typo, my bad. CrowdStrike, NextGen SIEM, and Microsoft Sentinel. We have a couple to go, but we're in the home stretch on getting the alerts, the query alerts sorted out. Another interesting feature that we've added based from our customers. So if you think about the event ingest flow, where you could be sending sort of bulk events to any one of these SIEMs, we haven't had a way to be able to enable like a confirmation that each one of those events have been successfully processed by the SIEM, and this is the feature we've added to the product. So when you're pushing events to a SIEM, for SIEMs that support it, we'll give you sort of response messages and and confirmation about what data was accepted and what was rejected if there was any. So again, this feature came as a request from our customers. So we, one of those things that were, example of those things, the responsiveness to the customers and their needs. No, go ahead. So Synqly MCP is something we're really excited about. We're continuing to build this out, as well as supporting customers who have agentic workflows and that they want to use Synqly. We've added the ability to use JWT auth to be able to authenticate with our MCP, as well as being able to do tool filtering based on that JWT auth. So if you wanted to sort of control what tools that your agentic agent has access to, it could do that level of filtering now. We did add support for the new AppSec connector, as well as some improved help text filtering to be able to make the interactions with the MCP more reliable. Right now we're working on adding, support in MCP for that custom mapping feature that we talked about, to be able to, automate the generation of some of those mappings and updates of some of those mappings. So to take the manual step out of that. So, lots of stuff that's on deck in Synqly MCP. As always, we're constantly updating the various connectors, both on the capabilities of those connectors and the filtering. It's something that we do every day, and there's a long list of sort of these minor things that all seem very minor, but add up to continuing to expand the product to make it more viable and flexible for all of our customers. So that's something that we're continuing on doing. The other one I'm excited about, there's a lot of folks that are using Synqly Embedded, and Synqly Embedded is essentially our self-hosted version of the product. Synqly Embedded runs, is built in parallel with our SaaS version and is kept up to date with that SaaS version and binary compatible. We've been doing a bunch of work on improving performance and horizontal scaling, including making available the use of memcached for a caching layer between Synqly Embedded and the database, and as well as a number of other improvements to enable that horizontal scaling. So excited about that, and excited about being able to have Synqly Embedded be a real powerful capability for a lot of our customers.
For the amount of updates that we've had this quarter, that was a good recap. As Steve said, we do have our changelog on docs.synqly.com. I'll include that in a link in the follow-up email. And if you are a customer, you probably are in our Slack channel, and you see my Monday morning little recap of what came out last week or the week prior. As always, we are continuously working on and improving our product, adding to it, developing it out, and building on it. And one of the big themes that Steve hinted on or spoke about was customer requests. We are customer obsessed. So when a customer asks for something, if it is within our capability, we work on it, because we are here to be the connected platform for security, IT, and AI for all of our customers. Now, that said, if there are any questions about us, about the product, about Steve's dog, who is wandering in the background, mine just ran away. By all means, go ahead and ask them now. Or if you are already connected with us, don't hesitate to reach out to us through Slack or in our next conversation. Nothing's popping up right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you to everyone. Thank you so much for coming out for today's webinar. This is a series. We do it every 3 months. So then this is the last one of 2025. So we will see you all again, I believe, in February. It should be on your calendar because this is a series. If it isn't, you're going to get that email to invite you to come on back. We'd love to see you back here. As always, my name is Rich Millix. Steve
Erickson.
Steve Erickson. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.